You are now tuned into Sunday Coffee Chat, hosted by Shayle Saeed and Mia Rutherford. This podcast is brought to you by the Beauty Institute and the Lash Artist and PMU Artist Club, where we discuss all things Lash and PMU. Join us live on Clubhouse, Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific. Thanks for listening. Grab your coffee and stay tuned. So first off, good morning. A lot of new things are going on in what I'm trying to do to support the community. So I do want to announce that we gave our site a facelift. So our site has so much more support for the community. If you go check it out, we have a forum now. So the forum, basically, we're going to be posting newsletters of topics that we talk about in this room. And if people didn't get the chance to ask me questions or somebody questions, they can go and talk about it in the forum. So if you've ever used Reddit before, we now have like our own PMU Reddit. That's like my vision of it. And hopefully we start getting enough users to participate and help each other out. So it won't be only me answering questions. It'll be like, let's say like Ash, she's an amazing nano brow artist. Let's say Latanya had a nano question, like Ash could potentially go answer that question for Latanya to help her out, but it'll be in the forum. So that is one example of how that's going to work. Hey Mia, how are you doing?
Hey girl.
Hey. So I was just telling everybody about the new community support tools that I've implemented in the website, so everybody can start, knowing about them, and we're going to try to put them out there for use later on. And then another thing we implemented is now we offer tools. So if I do offer my favorite nano tools and nano cartridges, and a lot of the tools for like tiny tattoos, any machine work is now to on our website. If you click Pro Tools, you can find the best tools that we like to use. And that's about it for the Beauty Institute. That is what I kind of tried to do to make the website a lot more user friendly. And our newest class is for beginners. So we launched a henna course for beginners to get them started, because a lot of people were having such a hard time picking up a high ticket service, but they have very low trust level with clients. So I started out with henna, like literally I started out doing henna tattoos and henna brows, and eventually I built my trust level up like to where I could start charging more for eyebrows, and then people just recognized me as an artist, and then I could like start charging a more of a higher ticket stuff. So that's how I started. But a lot of artists, like in the past year, we trained so many people, and so many artists just wanted to start like from the top. And you don't just start from the top. I think you have to like build your way up there. And so that's what the newest class is about. It's more so of a business class, but it's also teaching like a simple brow skill at the same time for people starting completely from scratch.
Yeah,
And you would
I
be
just
so.
signed up. I'm super excited.
Thanks,
Um,
yeah.
I think it's key. I'm in California and they just passed some rules out here. At first they banned henna where we couldn't do the henna brows, and they just opened it up, and I'm super excited. I got my kit, and I just think that I saw that in the course. I started to read it, but you stated that a lot of people were doing it's a good transition to get into microblading and micro shading, and for me, when I started, it helped build the confidence. But now I still do it, and I'm just excited to just grow and perfect those henna skills as well.
Thank you so much. No, and I still do it as well. Like, yeah, I offer, super high ticket brow services, but at the same time, I love the henna brow service because it's a very like kind of get your feet in the water type service for a lot of clients. Like, they don't know what it's like to have permanent eyebrows. So like giving them eyebrows that potentially can last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it kind of gives them a feel of something permanent, and then later down the line they convert into that service, the high ticket service that you're trying to sell. But sometimes it's like they don't know if that's what they really want, So that's what the course is about. It's about building yourself up. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Um, Let me think. So I wanted to go over in this discussion about the 5 top mistakes that people starting out make. And I've noticed this so much with the people enrolling. Over the past year, I've talked to so many new artists and so many artists that aren't just starting out from scratch, so many artists that are like in the process of building themselves up and they're starting to pick up traction, but they're still not quite there. Like their books are still not like month or 2 months or 3 months like booked out. They want to be that booked, but their books are not quite there yet and they don't know why or what they're doing wrong. And it's like that's more of the scenario. I feel is that scenario is way more common than the scenario of, oh, I'm booked out for like 6 months. So what's the difference? Like, what is that person doing that is booked out for 6 months? That maybe that new artist that's trying to build up themselves. What is it that one person is doing that you know that they're not doing, and how could they get their books that full? Because it's really strategic, and I just want to say that it's not necessarily about skill. I know that sounds bad, but clients, they don't look at the work that we do like the way we look at our work in the industry. Like, for example, Mia, you do lashes, you know by a picture what's a good lash set and what's a bad lash set. But a client doesn't know. Like they just think, I want lashes, where do I go for lashes? They see
Absolutely.
all they see all lash sets like approximately very similar. They don't get the details. Like for me, I do, eyebrows, and I am really booked, but am I the most booked person in my area? No, I know artists that are like 2 years booked out. Do I think my skill level is better? Absolutely. I feel like I do way more natural eyebrows, and I'm like, how the hell is that person 2 years booked out because their brows look like Sharpie brows, right? And everybody has that person in their city. Like everybody has that one person who does very mediocre work that is super booked out and they're right next door. Like I know you could think of that person in your city. Everybody has them. And I'm not saying that they're bad, but they are doing something better or something more than the other person if they are that booked out. And it's not the skill. It's the marketing. It's the presentation. It's the trust factor. So, I'm going to go over the 5 top things that artists that are super booked out that they do that beginner artists just aren't doing like right away. So, the top number one thing is every single artist that's super booked out that I know, like 2 years out, they all started within the industry by gaining trust from other services. So, for example, I'm going to think of like 2 people that's not myself in my area. One girl, she is like super booked out, like 2 years. She started out at the mall at a nail salon doing waxing, doing eyebrow arches, waxing. And that was only 5 years ago. But everybody recognized her as the eyebrow person. Everybody knew, okay, like, I'm going to go get my nails done and then I'm going to go get my eyebrows done with her, right? And us in the industry, like, you don't get your brows done at a nail salon. That's not the high end thing to do. But it didn't matter in her scenario because that was her starting point. And it was her way of establishing trust. So she established trust with like 2,000 people. Like small nail salon traffic is so high that every day she was building trust and building relationships with probably 30 people. You know what I'm saying? So when she did start offering a high ticket service that's like $500, the percentage of people that converted from getting their eyebrows done with her for $7 to giving her $500 for like a permanent brow, like it was probably close to 90% conversion. Now, if she didn't work at the mall at as the eyebrow person and she just got her certificate in whatever, in nano brows or powder brows or ombre brows, if she just got her certificate and started working, switched from being a mortgage officer or like a bank teller, and then quite right away said, hey guys, I'm certified, come book with me, would she have gotten the level of trust of the amount of people to get her career rolling? I don't think so. So I think what a lot
Yeah.
of new a lot of new artists, they don't want to start offering henna brows. They don't want to start offering eyebrow arches or threading or anything with eyebrows. They just want to say, hey, like, come book this $500 service with me. And I'm not really an eyebrow person, but I just got certified and I could do a great job on your brows. Or sometimes they'll be like, hey, can you be my model? Like, you have to start establishing yourself as capable of doing great brows, whether it's tweezing, waxing, shaving, whatever. Like, you have to establish some sort of portfolio on your Instagram saying, I could do this before you post that certificate. Like, a lot of people just start out by posting that certificate, like, as if it validates, like, gaining trust, and it doesn't. So what I'm trying to say is start from the bottom, build your way up. That's how it works. And then the other lady in my city, she didn't start out at a mall doing eyebrows. She started out as an esthetician doing high-end like facials, and she was already in like a super expensive city, and she started out, doing all the like the Botox filler, the expensive stuff. So when she introduced eyebrows in that city, all the women, obviously trusted her with their eyebrows because they're like, she does my lips. They're already used to giving her like a big sum amount of money for every time they go see her. And now that lady like is super well off, like booked maybe 3 years and has like 7 people working under her. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that she established herself as a luxury service provider way before she did eyebrows. So I think a lot of new artists miss the fact that it's about the trust relationship rather than the skill relationship. Because out of those two people, that in my mind, they do decent work, but I'm telling you, it's not the skill, it's the trust level and it's the relationships. So that's the number one thing. The number two thing that new artists don't do, that those artists were doing in the very beginning, is offering free consultations. Like, a lot of new artists don't want to do anything for free. They want to do maybe their first one or two or three models for free, and then they start putting these high ticket services on their websites when they didn't earn that trust, and then they also don't want to offer that free consultation, and I don't think it converts as well. The goal is to get the person coming into your shop to giving you that their money, right? And trusting you with their brows, and the goal is for you to offer them a great service. Sometimes when you establish a free consultation, if they had an appointment, and this is what I did in my very beginning of my career, the client would have 2 appointments already with 2 other artists, and they would have consultations with all 3 of us. And the point is, they wanted to come see us, see our office, see how we are, and then they would choose. And a lot of times, my consultation was the breaking factor of getting them to choose me over 2 other people. And at that point, they already have looked at my work. They already know my skill capabilities. So it wasn't skill that they were looking for. It was personality, fairness, and then the most ultimate point was them feeling heard. A lot of clients want to feel heard. And by that is, I mean, a lot of new eyebrow artists, they start out by laying the client down and going in with the threads, and they start mapping, and they're like, I know what's best for your eyebrows, and I'm going to start doing this mapping shape. And a lot of clients don't love that. They want to say, hey, like, they want the chance to say, um okay, take a look at my eyebrows. I know that I hate this one more than that one. I know this one is higher than that one. And my biggest insecurity is da da da. And my dream is da da da. So giving them that chance to feel heard at the consultation is gonna create a huge trust factor that a lot of other artists might have missed at the consultation. And then another thing too is that they want to feel like you're a real person. um some artists fail to create that personal connection with people, and it really is like a natural skill that some people have, some people don't. But charisma is something that everybody can learn. And I think that does make a huge difference. Offering a free consultation and just having them come in and meet you, and then you putting in a first good impression on them is great. And not only to convert them, I've rejected people at consultations. So before they were booking with me when I was first starting out, if instead of them just putting themselves right in my book and then they would come for a 3-hour slot, then I'm stuck with them. I've had times where I have offered a person a free consultation and they came in in my head, I either said, this person is crazy, I don't want to service them. Or in my head, I said, I can't do this person's eyebrows. Like, I'm a year in, I can't do this person's eyebrows. I would just apologize and reject and say, hey, I don't think I'm the right artist for you. And I would literally refer them somewhere else because that was like, to me, a bad day avoided. So offering that free consultation for me was a way to pick and choose my clients, and it was a way to convert people I wanted them to come to me and establish like long relationships with, and reject the ones that I didn't want to see. Because every client that comes into my office, my goal is for them to see me for the next like 5 years. To me, they're an asset. And the more repetitive clients you can have, the bigger you can say that your business is, higher in the asset client value. So that's number two.
Shay,
What's up?
before you move on, you're making some incredible, incredible points. Just one thing I wanted to add about the trust. I think that's so key, and I'm happy you brought that up. Something that comes along with trust is integrity. Just knowing that that artist is going to do what they said that they were going to do, if they stick by their values, and if they follow through, that integrity, I feel, is key. Also, as well, I'm over here taking notes, but you mentioned free consultation. I'm so happy that you brought that up because, yes, it is a positive thing to give them that time, that little extra 15 minutes to talk to them and kind of go over the process and everything. But it gives you the opportunity to pick and choose, right? So, like you said, you don't have to take every client. I like to use the term to specifically to the client that you are a great candidate for this service, just to let them know before they even come that there are no guarantees. I did a Groupon for microblading here in Silicon Valley, and it did successful, but there were stipulations. It was for microblading. One of the stipulations was that they couldn't have any prior tattoo, microblading, microshading in order to honor that special discount. That you mentioned the consultation as well. But carrying on, I just wanted to agree with some of the points that you were making.
Oh no, thank you so much for chiming in. I know I can go on forever. But yeah, consultations really are key, and what I do want to add to that before moving on is sometimes giving away 15 minutes of your time in the beginning of the client journey. Yeah, you didn't get paid for 15 minutes. Yeah, you didn't get paid for those 20 minutes. And if you did, let's say 5 consultations that day, you might have worked for a free hour. Okay. But let's say they do end up coming with you and getting onboarded and, becoming a client, because you initiated them in a welcoming way and you established, like, you gained their trust without charging them in the very beginning, the likeliness of them sticking with you is like 5 times higher. So the likeliness of them coming back for every single touch up and then coming back to you because they know your service is special and you being their assigned person that they will always come to for either lashes or eyebrows, like, is 5 times higher. So yeah, you gave up 15 minutes of your time for free, but in the long run, that money, you will eventually get it back like tripled or doubled, and they will refer way more friends, and it's just a healthier relationship with the client. So the money does really come with that. And I just wanted to mention that as well before I'm moving on to creating free consultations. And I will be taking questions in just a few minutes after I'm done going over the 3 top mistakes beginners make before when trying to establish their career. So we're going to go over 3 more points, and then after that, we can either do some tips or some questions. So another point, now this is the third point about the top mistakes PMU artists make when trying to build their career, is they don't create client journeys. And what I mean by that is they don't use the word for you. Like they don't use the words, this is specially customized for you. You need to say that so many times to every single client because the key to human interaction is every single person you meet, whether it's a friend, a family member, a client, everyone wants to feel special. Everyone wants to feel like they're getting something customized for them. So the keywords is customized and special. Nobody wants to feel like they're getting clone eyebrows or stamp eyebrows or sticker eyebrows from the artist. And I hear that so many times. Like a lot of clients will open up to me and say, Shay, I picked you because every single brow you do is different. Or Shay, I picked you because you're doing something tailored just for me. And every single client wants to feel that way. Nobody wants to come in and feel like they're getting the same process every other person in the chair had before them. So what I do, and if I still offer free consultations, but now they're virtual. What I do is I tell the client from the get-go, here's what we're going to do for you. Because you have this da-da-da that a lot of people might not, like your case is unique, da-da-da. So I'm going to start you off with blah. And then we're going to do in a year, blah. And then in another year, we're going to do this. So I would lay out the entire journey for them. So that way mentally, they're prepared to like return and come back. And they have a vision of what it's going to be like when they get that first session. They have a vision of what they're signing up for. And what this does is not only it creates like a long path of them returning to you year after year after year, which is the result. When so many people are doing that, then you're going to be booked out for 2 years. That's how it works. It also establishes a sense of knowing what to expect, and then you can exceed that expectation. So when your work does turn out really beautiful, they'll be like, oh my God, I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be that good. And then they refer 6 more people, 5 more people. Like, if you can create a client experience to where they know when to come back and you exceed their expectations, the referrals that come with that and the reviews that come with that is beyond. I don't want to say reviews because reviews you really do have to ask for, but the word of mouth reviews, unreal. Like you will definitely, if you just avoid not doing the first 3 things or doing the first 3 things we talked about, you're going to be really successful. Now the last 2 top mistakes that PMU artists make when trying to establish their permanent makeup career is that number 4, sometimes, and this kind of goes with number 3, they don't create a personal, intimate experience. So not only you have to make the client feel special and heard, I've seen a lot of salons, and this does work. Okay, a lot of salons are laid out this way, and it's not a bad way to lay out a salon, but personally, as a person who's been in the industry for 10 years, I don't think it's going to create an intimate experience, which is what they do is it's like a really big room and it has, 6 different chairs, kind of like a nail shop where you go get your pedicures done, and they're laid out right next to each other. And then you have like 5 artists next to each other doing eyebrows. So yeah, it works. It gets the job done, but you're not going to be able to create that intimate experience to where you can have you're not their therapist, but an intimate experience is, I think, when they're able to open up to you and talk to you about their family, their problems, this and that. And that's when you can kind of, create that relationship. And with me, I've done that with so many of my clients to where, like, I was kind of their friend for a while. And the referrals that come from that is, to me, huge. So if you're first starting out, I would make sure that the client feels like it's an intimate experience. When I go get my pedicure done, like it's a $40 service. So I don't mind if I'm sitting next to Joe on the right and Stacy on the left, and I'm not having a conversation with the guy, the person doing my toes. I don't care to have a really, amazing experience if I'm paying like $30 for a pedicure. But if I'm paying $700 or $800, I do expect water. I do expect like the person to talk to me like I'm a person. I expect a lot. Like if I'm giving a person my money as a high ticket client, I expect to be treated like a high ticket client. I don't want to be treated like I'm getting a pedicure at a nail salon if I'm giving you $800 versus $30. Like my expectation is different. So I assume that you feel that way and that your clients feel that way. Not everybody does feel that way, but I did take a poll on my Instagram the other day, and I said, does quality matter as much as personability or whatever? And I most of the votes agreed that they want the person to be personable as well as getting the quality, and it was just as important to them. So I take that very seriously, and as a artist starting out, I definitely think that you should take being personable and being intimate with the client that serious, and try to establish like a actually profound relationship to where they're sending their mom, sister, and then also it's more fun that way. But it's not the only way. That's just my way, and I've seen a lot of people do it different, and I've seen that work as well. Okay, so now we covered 4 things, and Kathleen in the audience, we work together, and she is writing down all these points. This is also recorded, so this is going to be posted on YouTube and posted on our website. So if you did miss some of this, I guess, podcast or whatever talk, you can tune in later and get it, and it's going to be posted on our forum as well. So the last thing I want to talk about the top 5 mistakes that PMU artists make while establishing their permanent makeup career. The last and most important thing that some people miss is the math. Okay? And I talk about this a lot in my beginner course that we just launched, my beginner henna brow course. It's a henna brow course, but it's way more so of a business course to get people rolling. The math is key. Okay. First of all, you have to know how much your goal is. Like a lot of artists start out and they don't know how much they want to make. They just kind of go at it day by day. Whatever client is in the books is what they're making that day. They don't have an actual goal that's planned out at the beginning of the year. They're just like, okay, like this year, if I'm booked this month, I'm going to be booked and I'm going to work. So why do the math, right? But if you're starting out and you're not that booked, you're going to need to do the math to know what it takes for you to make a certain amount of money. Especially if you want to live a certain lifestyle, if you have a certain amount of expenses that you need to cover, you need to know your expenses from the year prior, and you need to know how much you made the year prior. So let's say we're finishing up 2022. We're finishing up 2021 right now. I would say, November is coming up. I would say calculate everything that you normally spend from January to November and see how much money you made that was left over. So after covering your expenses, see how much money you made that was like your free money, your freedom money, I call it. The gap between, your basically leftover money, whatever you did, if it's in your savings account, if it's hanging up in your closet, that was the money you made that made you free, right? So calculate everything you spent your money on, all the profits you made from your business, and then that leftover money that you did whatever the hell you want with. For 2022, try to think of how to double it or how to increase it, So let's say you want to make $85,000, right? For next year. Let's say that's your goal. It's an example goal. You would take that amount of money and you would break it up into weeks. So it would be 85 divided by 52, 85,000 divided by 52. Then you would know each week of the 52 weeks you have in a year how much money you need to make per week to make that goal at the end of the year. So then you would say, how many days a week do you want to work? Then you would take that number, so 85 divided by 52, you would take that number and divide it by however many days you want to work in the 1 week. And I'm not sure if my formula is perfect. I'm not doing it on paper, but it's basically like that. And then you would figure out how much money you would need to earn in a working day to have the amount of money you need to make that week. And then based on that, you would need to get your books filled in that way. Then you would need to know how many new clients you need to recruit. You would just have stats for yourself to know how much you need to establish your certain goal to cover these certain expenses to be able to live the lifestyle you want. And a lot of new artists don't look at money that technical. They look at it as a, day by day thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I did that in the very beginning. At the very beginning, I wasn't analytical. I was way more of an artist and a business person. And it worked out, because the intention was there and the hard work was there, the skill was there. It worked out. It will work out eventually. But, there was a year in my 20s, I think I was 21, where, at the end of the year, I found out that I spent $22,000 on food. And at the end of the year, I said, I was living at my parents' house, and my mom cooks every single day, and I spent $22,000 on food in a year. I was like, what the hell is wrong with me? Because I had these goals of doing more at a younger age, but I always found that I did have money, but I didn't have enough money where I could do more. And it was because I never looked at my budgeting in the way that I should have looked at my budgeting. So I would say get very analytical about the way you spend your money from the very beginning. And not only that, just to know your statistics of how many clients you need per week to meet your goals. That way you have a goal list every week that you're checking off. And there's so much more about this exact topic that I cover in my henna brow course that we just launched a few days ago. It's way more of a business course to get you thinking about how to monetize in the industry, because it's stuff that beauty school doesn't teach you. It's stuff that the salons are not going to tell you because they don't want you to think like this. They want you to work for them. If you're working at a salon, no salon is going to tell you how to be smart about your money, because the smarter you are about their money, the less money they're going to make off of you. So it's just stuff people don't open up about. Even coaches and people in the industry just don't open up about, because the more financially literate somebody becomes, in my opinion, the more free they become, then the more you can't tell them what to do. It makes them a bad consumer. And in business, you want everybody to be a good consumer, so you kind of don't educate them on the things that make them harder buyers. But in the course, I really open up everything about what I had to figure out in my 10 years of experience about building up myself. So that was the last point I wanted to discuss about the top 5 mistakes that beginner permanent makeup artists make in the very beginning. So I hope that was beneficial. If you missed them, don't worry. They're going to be posted on the forum, and you guys can chat about them back and forth on the forum on our website. So that is it. For now, I'm going to open up, so anybody that wants to raise their hand will be joining us up on stage. So whether you have a thought, a comment, I know there's a lot of experts in the audience too, and I know that you guys probably have amazing insight to add on to what we discussed. So if you want to raise your hand, add insight, or if you're a beginner and you benefited from a specific thing we talked about and you want to comment on it, just go ahead and join us. And if you have any questions or need any support or comments or anything like that, just come up on stage. I'd love to meet everybody in the audience. I actually really, really enjoy supporting the community. So we are open for questions now. If anybody has anything on their heart, now is the time to come up. I'm really friendly. I don't bite. And I'm full of love, I promise. So I know April is up here on stage, and it's always a delight to have April on stage because she's so well-spoken and she's like my favorite person. So I'm going to pass the mic to you, April, and just kind of add whatever you feel like adding.
Hey, Shay. Hey, Mia. Thanks for having me up. How fun. I always love this topic
April.
because, hey, lady friend, it's so good to see you, or hear you, talk to you this way. I think that um, when I look back, I think the mistakes that I made, and I see a lot of my students make, and a lot of fellow permanent makeup and beauty, lash artists make, is number one, trying to do it all yourself. And that comes from one, just, obviously you don't have a big budget when you're starting out. So you're like, okay, I'm going to figure that out and figure things out. And you do have to figure a lot of things out on your own. And I think it's good to know enough about something. So, for example, if you were to hire a copywriter to put together, the words that need to go on the website. So many times artists think, oh, I just need a beautiful website that looks pretty for the clients, but it doesn't help them with SEO because the computer doesn't see, the words. The computer just sees, if you have a lot of images on there, the SEO, which is search engine optimization, as you guys know, higher ranking on Google and the Bing and the Yahoo, the other search engines. The computer, when you have pictures, it just sees a blank black image. It doesn't see words. So if you have a good copywriter or someone that helps you with what words and keywords that would be ranking high for your website, like just investing in something like that instead of trying to DIY yourself, do it yourself, and trying to just not investing in my business soon enough. I think it was a mistake that I made, and I see a lot of um, young artists make it because, again, they don't have the money. So they're like, okay, I can just, figure it out myself. And again, like I said, you should know enough about it so you know who to hire and know if they're doing a good job. But to take the time to do it all doesn't make sense. And that would be my first tip, to just invest before you're ready. Whether that is, getting a loan or just, doing some research. You talked about budget, Shay. I would say invest before you're ready. Don't do it all yourself. And then also the key is reaching out for partnerships. And so those would be my top tips. But I see you have other people on stage, so I'll pass the mic to Dwight or whoever wants to talk next.
Thank you so much, April. You always bring up such amazing points, and I love that you said to know what to hire before hiring them. So, like, do your due diligence of knowing what you need and what that thing is, and then hire accordingly. And you're gonna hire some people that you're not gonna like in the very beginning. You're gonna regret hiring some things at the beginning, but it's better to try your best than to say, I've never tried at all. So I completely agree with you in you needing a team. I think once we grow to a certain point, especially if you're trying to grow online, I definitely think you need a team in the beginning. But thank you so much, Lash Lord and Dwight, for joining us up on stage. I don't know if you guys have comments or questions, or, I'm just going to pass the mic, and looking forward to meeting you.
Hey ladies, this is Jenkins. I actually go by Jenkins. I don't know why it says Dwight on there. They always put your first names on these things. But my name is Jenkins. I'm from Beverly Hills. Our shop is over here in Beverly Hills. I'm really great friends with Mia. She is always literally keeping
April,
me
hey.
involved on the chat. On the chats, and I'm actually not feeling a little bit too well today, but I definitely wanted to jump on here and say hey to all of everybody on here, especially Shay. It's really nice to meet you. April, it's really nice to meet you. And of course, Mia, thank you so much. But I definitely agree with with listening to what you're having to say about hiring people, because I myself have been thinking about hiring people because I'm just doing so many different things that has really helped me listening to you guys about just really kind of being particular about who I like to choose. You know what I mean? So if you guys have any more like guidance in that area, that would definitely help me. But again, like I said, I probably have so much more to say, but I can't even really talk. But I wanted to say hi to you ladies and also ask a little bit more advice about maybe hiring some people. And also, Shay, thank you so much for kind of doing that breakdown as far as like how much you want to make a year. I think that's so important for lash artists because when you first get started, you're just so excited. You really don't know what's going on. But I think it's very nice to have a strategic plan on where you are at and actually where you're going.
I love that. Well, it's nice to meet you. It's so good to know that I'm meeting Mia's friend. That's awesome. But thanks for coming up on stage, and I hope you feel better today. As far as like hiring people, I don't know like what you're trying to hire, so I don't really know how to help in that way. Um,
We're lash
do you
artists over
more
here.
lash artist?
We're lash artists.
Okay, so you
Beverly
want more like
Hills.
people doing lashes under you?
Yes, correct. Just because again, like I said, I have so many other running multiple businesses, so I just feel like I myself I do a lot of house calls. I do a lot of celebrity house calls for exclusive clients. So sometimes it's kind of a little bit difficult for me to be available all the time on all areas. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And good for you for establishing like a high-end clientele. I guess what I would say is establish like fair contracts. So it's all about relationships for me, whether it's clients or employees. So establish a contract where the employee feels like they're getting what they want, and the communication has to be perfect. So just communicate yourself in a way of expressing exactly what you need them to do for your business, and then how they're going to be compensated, and the time frame that you can lock them in a time frame if you want, and just kind of go from there and make sure everything is like crystal clear in the beginning, and make like hire somebody that they can talk to like as a manager instead of directly coming to you, or you could be the person they come to right away if that's like where you what you want. Just establish like a communication line, because I think communication when hiring people is like key. And I wish who's always on stage, Sinful Lashes, what's her name again, Mia?
Michelle Rath.
Michelle Rath. That's your girl. Like that girl
Yeah, I
did it
know who Michelle
all.
is. I know who Michelle is.
Yeah, like if you ever find Michelle Rath on stage, definitely pick her brain, because she's done it all with lashes, and she's hired tons of people under her, and that girl's a boss. Like she's done it all. She's super experienced. So I would definitely throw that question at Michelle Rath. But April, I mean, like I would love your take on this as well.
Yeah, so the first thing I always say is think about your business model. And I know, Shay, you probably were talking a little bit about this at the beginning and I might have missed it, but your business model, meaning like, what do you want? Because so many times people hire and they think, oh, I just need somebody to help me with the workload. And really, then they get frustrated because they don't want to turn over their clients, or possibly that person, they're afraid that person might leave with their clients. And so then I say, well, really, maybe that's not what you wanted. That's not your real business model. Because when you start hiring people, unless you hire a manager right away, which most people don't, you become the manager. So I mean, I just had this question, and I frequently have this um, question with my students, like, who do I hire first is what they ask me. And I ask them back, well, do you want to be a manager, or do you want to do the services? Because usually at first it's just one hire. They're like, in the budget, I can only afford to hire one person. And so, if you feel like you're doing everything, do you need somebody just to take over your social media so that you can focus on the services? Do you actually need somebody to help you with the services, and then you need to hire somebody? Or do you want to just raise your prices, keep, if you have the demand there, and then hire, like I said, and then hire somebody to help you with social media? So you can look at different, what kind of business model do you want to have? Do you like doing the services? Do you like managing people? Are you okay with just having a virtual assistant to start? Because virtual assistants, you can have a virtual assistant in, India, the Philippines, in another country for, well, mine is, like $3 an hour, but you can have them for $5 an hour, $10 an hour, depending on the task. But they can do your social media, graphics, post your images, even bookkeeping, even get back with clients. Like they're skilled in so many different things. So I think the first question is, um, Jenkins, what kind of business model do you want to have? Like, what lights you up? Are you like, I love doing the services, or are you like, no, I have bigger dreams and I don't want to do the services. I want to pass that along to somebody else.
Thank you so much, April, for that explanation. I really do appreciate it. I feel like it was so thorough. And I am definitely going to keep that in mind about like who I want to hire first and whether I want to do the services. I think these are all things that you don't think about and you kind of skip over, especially when there's so many things that you have to think about as far as, running a business and, just not just being a lash artist. And not only that, but, expanding as well to doing eyebrows as well, microblading. But there's the class I would like to take is actually Lana Tark. If any of you guys know her, she's in Australia. It's just the borders have been closed, so I haven't been able to get over there. But yes, thank you so much, April. I really do appreciate that. I'm gonna take all that into consideration when I start looking to move forward.
And absolutely. And one other thing I would just add to that is when you decide to hire someone, sometimes, and I know I am completely guilty of this, we hire somebody when we, like, you almost want to hire somebody before you're ready, right? But we don't do it that way. We usually hire somebody when we are, in it knee deep, we're in the weeds, as they say. We have it like we're just trying to come up for air. And so with that, we don't have time to properly train them. We expect them to be mind readers. We want them to jump in and kind of rescue us in a way, like, here, take all these tasks. And it doesn't set up the proper relationship. You're almost setting somebody up to fail because unless they are just really quick go-getters, which usually those type of people are not employees, they're usually the employers. But you can find some really good go-getters that just don't want the headache of it all, and they're called integrators. And in this book, there's different there's the visionaries, is probably you, and then the integrator is somebody that likes the doing of it. And a lot of times we don't set them up for success because we don't have systems, we haven't documented our processes, so it's all in our head. We're like, this is how we do it, and we try to teach them, but again, it's not written down anywhere. So even if you can start doing a voice recording of yourself, like, okay, it's going to seem a little silly at the beginning, but like, all right, now I'm setting up for a client and this is how I prep my tray. And you walk through every little thing. It's going to seem really silly, or this is how I respond to clients. All of your systems, like, just doing those things. If you can videotape it, even better. But if you can't, just voice record it. So then you can put that in a document for later, which will be a standard operating procedure, which is called an SOP for short, standard operating procedure. And then you can, if that person leaves, then you can easily give it to the next person, and save you time. So just starting to, we call it sometimes slowing down to speed up. So, again, you're going to be busy. And so you're like, I don't have time to train this person. And that's the wrong way to look at it. You almost have to, excuse me, slow down to speed up with that person. So right now I would just say, whatever task you want to hire for, start looking at what you do and what you want them to do, and start documenting.
Thank
I
you so much,
love that,
April.
April. I'm slow down to speed up. I'm gonna write that one down. And just knowing the day to day, each like moment by moment, and being in the shoes of everybody. Like, as a business owner, if you can be the janitor, if you can be the cook and everything, at least know the task. I think that's so key. I'm gonna take that in stride. Thank you so much.
Well, and it reminds me of, like, if you're, driving on the highway and there's a big exit that's coming up, and it's one of those exits where you have to turn, right? It's a turning exit. You slow down right before the exit, but then they teach you should actually step on the gas a little bit to get around the turn, right? They actually say drive into the turn, but slow down before you get to it, but then drive into the turn. So that's where you would kind of slow down and then speed up, and then that's what helps your business as well. Obviously, you have to take the time to set it up properly.
Yeah, and I remember too, like Michelle Rath, she when she was up on stage, she mentioned that lashing was more of a technical skill. So she would hire based on personality. She did say, I hire based on if I think that person is going to be good to my clients. And lashing is something I can teach perfectly. She said, I can teach anyone how to lash perfectly. She said, the way I teach, I know I can make everybody that I intend to teach a perfect lash artist, but I can't teach somebody to be a good person. So
Correct.
she made, yeah, she
Facts.
made, she made sure when she hired, she was hiring like the person she wanted to see every day. Cause you don't want to like hire like a smuggy person that's always like, like long faced. Cause that's the long face you're going to see in the morning. You know what I'm saying? You can't unlong face somebody, but you can teach somebody how to lash. So make sure you hire like a smiling face, a person you can like communicate to, work with, and then teach them how to lash by setting up like what April was saying, like the procedures and like how to set up and stuff like that. Like the technical stuff you can teach, but I guess you can't raise a person. Like you're not their mom. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you're not like mommying them, but you're giving them those standard procedures to follow. And like if they're documented, then you can say, hey, click this link and you'll see exactly what we do here and we can onboard you from there, you know?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ladies. I really appreciate all the feedback and help.
I also say have trial periods because you're going to, the trial period takes off the pressure in a lot of ways because, you have so much expectations. You think, oh, I really want this to work. And if you say, okay, this is a trial period, then in your mind, you're like, all right, I understand. They're just learning. It's a trial period. But then if they don't get it at a certain amount of time, you can say, okay, now we're past that trial period. You didn't, really pick things up. So unfortunately, I have to let you go. It feels you're still in that. You have that trial period. It feels to me. I don't know. Maybe just because I felt bad letting people go. When we were in a trial period, it felt a little bit like it eased the blow, so to speak. And so, I always felt like, okay, trial period. They're just in the trial period, but now they didn't get it, so now we got to let them go.
Also, they got to prove themselves, right?
Absolutely. Coming from the doctor's background and working with Beverly Hills doctors, we definitely have this 90-day. Hold on. My retainer. Sorry. Um, we definitely have this 90-day probationary time. So that definitely helps because it takes off that extra pressure, like you said, if you do have to let someone go, and they didn't meet that, whether that, whatever that duration of time may be, they know that they need to pick up their skills.
No, I agree with everybody. You guys have just brought up this is such a good question too, like for artists that were in the process of hiring other people. Like I know we all face that same it's hard to hire. So I really am so glad that you brought that up on stage. We have time to take one more question. So if anybody in the audience has any questions about anything we discussed, you can come up on stage and ask. And I do want to announce as well, right now we did launch a half business, half henna course class to get people doing more brows. So if brows are something that you want to add to your business, head on to my site. It's beautyinstitute.com. And with every order right now for the henna class, we're giving away a complete free kit. And the kit we made, we just manufactured it. It's actually manufactured overseas, not in Russia, and it's amazing. PPD free. It's completely PPD free. And it is the best henna kit. Like, I've used so many henna kits in the past, and none of them had the stuff that I wanted them to have, which was like a ink remover, like in case you messed up. And they never had like a styling gel. And they never had a brow growth oil. So I made sure when we made our own henna kit that it is perfect. So we've been working on it forever, and it's $189. No, sorry, it is. Yeah, it's $189, but we're giving it away with every class purchase. The first 50 only, and there's only 10. I think we sold 40 classes already, so I think there's only 10 more classes that we're selling
I
that
got
come with a
mine.
free kit. Yeah, and the kit is still on pre-order, so you will be receiving it like 2 weeks from now. But if you do want to learn more business like tips, and if you're a beginner starting out and you want to build a brow clientele and you want to be established as a brow business, I definitely recommend that beginner course. And I think we have 10 more spots that will get a free kit with it. So if you do want to head over to the site and check out that class, what it entails, it's basically 50% business and then 50%, not even 50, it's more so like 70% business and 30% how to do henna brows, because I think anybody can figure out how to do like henna brows or whatever, but what I'm teaching in the class is how to make that client, to get them as a $50 service, but then hold on to them for like years to come, and then eventually they'll be like a $5,000 client rather than a $50 client. It's the key is to get them to come in. The key is to create trust, and the key is to not offer something that you didn't earn the trust for. For example, and I said this in another room before, and before we close the room, this is just a thing I want to brush up on before I close the room. And me and April, we talked about this in another room before. But here's the key. You can't just go in the street and sell a jacket for $3,000, right? Like right now, pick up a jacket and go try to sell it for $3,000, right? You won't be able to. But Chanel can do that. Why can Chanel do that? Because Chanel has the trust to do that. We know Chanel. Like everybody knows the brand. Everyone's aware of the brand. So now, like, I don't know who's the CEO of Chanel right now. I don't know who's, the director, but they can pick up a jacket and go literally stand in the middle of New York and put a price tag on it. And I bet you 100% somebody will grab it because they just know what it is. They know Chanel built the trust, built a brand to be able to take a jacket, stand in the middle of the street, and say, "Hey, this is a $3,000 jacket." So the equivalent of that is like a person who just got out of, let's say, like the healthcare industry, and now they're picking up eyebrows, standing in the middle of the street, and saying, "Hey, here's $500 eyebrows." I'm sorry, but it just you don't have the brand yet. So building a portfolio, building an Instagram, building, like starting out by doing eyebrows, establishing that you can do a non-permanent eyebrow, establishing that you could do just a brow wax, and proving that you could do great brows at first is how you're going to build your way to being able to standing in the middle of the street and saying, "Hey, do you want these $500 eyebrows?" And then somebody will buy because they'll recognize what you're doing, who you are, what your brand is about. But if you don't have the brand, don't have the recognition, and don't have all that, and then you just go get a certificate and say, "Hey, I'm going to start charging $500 or $300 eyebrows." I mean, some have succeeded in that way, but the chances are slimmer than not. And I just wanted to create a class that takes beginners that are coming from different industries. And I don't know if you guys know, but so many industries in America right now are going through shortages. So expect the beauty industry to grow even more in 2022 because so many people are leaving their regular jobs and coming into the beauty industry because the freedom that it allows, and people are paying attention. Everyone knows that there's a lot of money to be made here, and they're not qualified to draw on people with tattoo machines. These people are coming from industries that maybe paperwork for 10 years, and now they want to take a tattoo machine and charge $500 to do eyebrows on people. It doesn't work like that. You definitely have to start from the ground up and do stuff that aren't permanent at first to get you used to mapping, to get you used to talking to clients, stuff like that. And then you can start charging and doing permanent stuff. So that's what the henna class is about, and that's what this room was kind of about, to assist beginners in starting. And yeah, that's what we wanted to talk about today. So I hope it was beneficial. Maya, April, any last word?
I love your Coco Chanel analogy. Also, just to add, Rolls Royce never had a commercial, and that just goes to show that they have the brand trust and the loyalty.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just want to shout out that deal, Shay, because that is a fantastic deal with the henna kit and the training. You know, here's the thing. I think that that is such a great example of you looked at what you could offer and you said, how can I make this better? How can I make this even like juicier? How can I make this like a no-brainer? And I talk to my students and beauty artists all the time of look at your services and think to yourself, you know, how can I make this, you know, what bonuses can I add on that make this an irresistible offer? So maybe when you're first starting out, your skills are not as good as the person up the street that's been doing it for a lot longer and has taken a lot more classes and this, that, and the other. But you know, as Shay mentioned earlier, and Mia, they said, you know, have that personal touch, have that personal service. I know I have a student that her aftercare bag is, it's like, now she buys things in bulk and so she gets a discount on it, but it looks like it's a $25 bag. It looks like it is a gift in itself. It's like a makeup bag. It's not just a Ziploc baggie with a little bit of, you know, ointment in there and say, you know, and instructions like, you know, call me if you have any questions. It is a full on gift, and people, you know, talk about it, they screenshot it, put it on social. I mean, she has thought of ways to make her experience and her services, because it's not just the services that they're buying, it's everything that is around it, right? It's how you package it up. I often say your offer is like the invitation to the party. The party is the service itself, but the offer is everything that is around it. And so I love, Shay, kudos to you, how you really said, okay, how can I make this a no-brainer, irresistible offer? So everybody should just jump on that offer, because especially if there's only 10 left. I've done this so many times where I'm like, ooh, that sounds so good. Should I do it? Should I not do it? And then I kick myself when it's gone. You know, like the FOMO is real. And yeah, I love how you just really put that value add in there and stepped it up. You're always so giving. So that's all I would add. Just kind of model what you see others doing, and obviously you have to do that with your own budget. But there's ways of doing it and enhancing what you have.
Thank you so much. No, and then like one thing I see a lot of beginner students do is they take like $2,000 or $3,000 and they spent it on a 2-day training, and then they get their certificate. And like, yeah, they learned a skill, but they don't have that basic business fundamentals to start doing it and actually offering what they learned in that $3,000 class. So I wanted to create a course that was only $197, and then to celebrate launching it, give away the tools too. So we try, like, I don't believe that you can onboard somebody in an industry by like just getting them to spend like $2,000 or $3,000 with you and then just going off on their own without any business background on the industry. So this class is like something affordable. Like I wanted to make something to where, let's say somebody did spend that $3,000 and now they don't have much more to invest, but they need that help in getting their business started, or somebody that just wants to test the waters at first before making such a big investment. I think it's that like initiation stepping stone course, and I just really needed something like that to be on my website. So when I get that question is, hey, where do I start? I'm starting out from scratch. I've never done microblading. I've never done nano brows. I have a desk job. I really want to join the industry. That's the class I would give them. So thank you so much for like recognizing what we're doing and the offer. And like, honestly, I have been extremely generous when it comes down to my trainings, especially this year. I've given away so much information to so many students, and like, you guys wouldn't even imagine, like, I could have charged way more for what we did, but I didn't, because there was a core problem in the industry, which was not a lot of people were doing nano brows and a lot of people were microblading, and they didn't know what's better than microblading. They didn't know what could make something like not rip the skin, all the things that come with like how amazing nano brows can be for the skin. And a lot of these artists like didn't have access to that information because it was locked inside $4,000 courses. And I said, this is like, we're being greedy, and we're not
pushing the industry forward. Because if this information doesn't get out, then people are going to stay, with the limited information they had for like 3 more years, rather than if I just gave away the information, educated the clients, and just pushed the industry forward, which all in all just results in better client results, prettier people. Why wouldn't we want better eyebrows for the world,
Preach, 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 preach.
Thank you. So I just tried to get that information out so the industry could just have better eyebrows, because I'm so tired of bad eyebrows. And,
Listen, we all need better eyebrows.
yes, that is what I'm talking about. So this has been such a good room. April, you're always a delight. I know it's not Dwight. Was it Ken? What
Jenkins.
was your name?
Jenkins. Yes.
I have dyslexia, so I literally just going back in my memory, I put the K first. I always do that. I'm actually like fucking dyslexic. I mix up my numbers and my words. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. Katie, thank you for recording the room. She's going to be posting it later.
And before we
if you
leave,
guys
Shay, can you tell us that site one more time?
Oh, yeah, it's the Beauty Institute. So instead of institute, it's Inkstitute, because we teach everything ink. So we teach tattoos, we teach eyebrows, we teach nano brows, microblading. We have real life courses, online courses, and a lot of the people in the audience are actually some of my students. I send everybody invites to join so twice a month we do these meetings. I try to have interactive relationships with all the students that join, but it's beautyinstitute.com if you guys are interested in that. And just visit that. The forum is right there, so you guys can post questions or discuss topics in the forum on the website. It's right in my bio. If you click on my face, you can follow me, and then you can check out my site. Also, click everybody's face and follow them before we end the room.
Shout out to Shay, girl. You are putting it down. You've been putting it down. All your hard work. I mean, this woman is putting herself out there, putting information, changing the game. But just shout out, and I gotta give you your flowers while you're
Thanks.
here.
Thank you.
Not to take lightly, April, Shay, you guys, you're incredible. But Shay, thank you so much. And Katie, Kathleen, you're like a silent powerhouse. You do so much that doesn't really go said all the time, but I just want you to know I'm so grateful for you, and the articles, the consistency. Like, you guys are the backbone of this industry, and I'm so blessed to have you.